Hello, dear parish family. May the peace of Jesus Christ, a peace which is beyond all comprehension, be with you and your loved ones now and always. Father Daniel here, as we, that is, our faith formation team led by our religious education director, Mrs. Socorro Trujillo, our parish staff, and myself as your pastor, gear up for another religious education year, 2020-2021. Now, as I'm sure this video reaches you hopefully well, but I am sure also still trying to navigate through these unprecedented times. Recognize that this pandemic brings about so many forced changes in our lives. So, it is affecting also our academic year, which means that I have had to make some tough decisions, keeping in mind and upholding the principles of both keeping your children and of course therefore your family safe, while at the same time maintaining our identity as Catholics, as people who are on a pilgrimage, a journey if you will, of faith, and growing more and more in love with the person of Jesus. My question to myself as I was preparing this year is, how in the world are we going to do that? Well, I believe I've reached a solution. I'm happy to announce that this year, in order to both continue your children's growth in the faith, but at the same time to keep them safe, that you, dear parents, will be the teachers of your children. Now I know, I'm sure you're hearing this for the first time and going, Father, I don't know anything about teaching first and foremost, but second, maybe I'm not the most up to date on my catechism. Well, first and foremost, calm down. I recognize this is one more challenge and obligation on your schedule during a crazy time. But I want to invite you to see a deeper and even thus a greater vision for what this can do for your family. Along with our pledged support, with resources, with answering questions, with being here for you, as you will see, you will be encouraged to call the teacher of your child often to check in order to stay accountable to our guidelines, but also to support you in this important work. I want to encourage you to see this as a deep opportunity, not only to grow more and more in those ties of affection, trust, and respect with your own family, but also with God Himself, who is love, who is truth. You know, when we were in seminary, we were told, and told often, that the first seminary we have already attended in our household, in the home in which we were raised, was the first seminary, the first place we, who were aspiring priests, felt called to serve God's people, were first formed with the notions of who God is and how God is, by the way our parents related the faith, by the way they made decisions. Furthermore, the Church affirms this understanding, not just for those who feel called to priesthood, but for all Catholic faithful, that each household is the quote-unquote domestic church. In other words, that you parents are in some sense responsible for your own little parish, your own little church, as you teach your children, not only by what you say or in the ways in which you instruct, but the ways in which you live your life, by your example of what it is to follow after Jesus and to be His disciple. That point is strengthened furthermore by the baptism rite, where the parents and godparents are both asked to be lifelong examples and to make it their first point to raise their child in the practice of the faith. Okay, enough beating up on that point, but it's an important one, friends, to recognize that you have that primary place. You know, I'll often remind the parents, especially when the school year starts, of course, under normal conditions, that it does no good for me, who do care, I do care immensely for all of your kids. I care for all of you as my parish family. It does no good that if I step up to the plate and I do my part and our DRE, our teachers, the volunteers do their part, it does no good for us to be able to reach out to you and to your kids to give them the instruction, to dedicate week after week that time, that energy, if you're not going to take it seriously. If we make these exceptions for sports or for other things, placing them in a higher place, placing them in a more prominent place than we would our growth in the faith, or by yourselves not trying to live the faith, or yourself at least to encounter it, then your kids, who, of course, I don't have to tell you, are pretty smart children, are going to notice that. They're going to say, why do my parents take me to this point when they themselves aren't willing to cross that threshold? When they say the faith is important here, but not here. And so, dear friends, I believe that this is a grace-filled opportunity, that you and your children can grow in the faith, and maybe you yourselves learn more and grow in the knowledge of the faith, so that as you teach, you yourself can also be the student. I find some of my greatest moments in being able to serve others, that when I teach, I'm actually the one learning. I'm the one growing in the knowledge of what it means to follow after Jesus, and of this great church in which he gave us, the great gifts in which he gave us. That will be your role, dear parents. And so, along with our support, we will be having, throughout this year, the opportunity for you to check in, to ask the questions you need to ask. Know that we are not by any means abandoning you with this task. We are simply asking you to take a more direct role within it, knowing that we're there to back you up by our prayers, by our support, by the ability to call and email and ask those questions, because I'm sure your child has many of them, not only for the faith, but I'm sure many things as well. So a few housekeeping notes, friends. You will find in the comments, or rather the description section, a link to our website where you will find the letter that I have sent and attached to each packet this year for those who are registering their children for religious education. You will see within that packet both the registration form itself, but also a cover page with any instructions, with our requirements, with our guidelines, and of course important dates and deadlines that we want to be able to communicate to you. In order to turn in a registration form and get your child registered, you will need to be able to provide some documentation that again will be outlined in those documents. In order to do that, practically speaking, you have two ways. The first, go to our website, download those files, print them out, fill them out, and email it back to us at OLOGBulletin, that's OLOGBulletin, OLOGBulletin@gmail.com. You can scan the documents and send them back there. Unfortunately, while all the documents can be scanned over to that email, we don't yet have a medium in order to take care of the registration fee, which covers the cost of our books and materials. Thus, you would have to drop that off in person, which you can do at our drop box here in the parish offices on the front door. Speaking of the drop box, you can also turn in the registration form in person, as we have many copies of them right outside in a sleeve right outside on the door there of the parish offices. You can fill them out along with the rest of the documents and the registration fee. If you are able to pay it, you're able to drop that off in that same front door drop box. Okay, so that can be done. There's many ways in which we can take care of these things. And also an important thing, that the first deadline that we have to understand is that those forms need to be in by the start of classes, which begin on the week of September 13th. Of course, that being the Sunday, not that day necessarily, but that week, registration forms need to be turned in. I will back up certainly and fully my DRE and our teachers that we will not accept registration forms late, as that is not fair to all of the wonderful work that these volunteers, faithful to the community, faithful to their own faith and passing it on to others, they've done so much preparation. I don't want to waste their time. okay? And I don't want us to linger or to have to wait. Therefore, from this moment when this video is recorded on this Wednesday, August 26th, you have at least 2.5 weeks to get it done, if not a few days more, I think. By the start of classes, we won't accept any more registrations, so please just remember that. A few days earlier, on September 12th, which is a Saturday, there'll be an orientation day, specifically for certain groups, which you will find again outlined in those documents that you can find attached to the link I am going to give you. So, dear friends, read through those carefully. Read it over and consider how your family is going to grow this year in the faith. You will notice that of all things we're only offering classes in order to prepare for the sacraments. This is due to a lack of volunteers and a lack of resources. If it were different, we would be able to have all the normal grades being taught so that your child in every moment can grow in the faith. But at least, in order to assure that those who are preparing and therefore willing and ready to receive those sacraments of initiation have the opportunity to do so. That way everybody gets what they need as far as growing in the faith at the appropriate times in their life. So we're looking out for you guys. We're doing our best. And I'm asking you to step forward with your best, with your faith. And I know that together with all of our efforts, and of course, our trust in our blessed Lord, that this will be a wonderful year of religious education where our children, and not only our children, but our families and thus our community will grow in the knowledge and the practice of our beloved Catholic faith. God bless you all, and know that I continue to hold each of you and your families in my daily prayers. God bless.